Now, I've been talking about... I don't like to do this. I'd like to have told you all afternoon what was going to happen, but now that it's going to happen, why don't you just say hello?
Surprise, surprise. It's Dr. Winston O Boogie at your service. I am Dennis's surprise, actually.
And he didn't come out of a cake or anything like that. John Lennon is with us, and we'll spend some time this afternoon to talk about the new album and a whole bunch of things, and maybe even do some disc jockeying.
Yeah, it's my second favorite occupation.
We'll get into some good music.
Okay. I'd like to play Whatever Gets You Through the Night from a new album. It's a single, and Elton John singing with me. Hello, folks. That was them singing together. And are we going to the news, or are we going to drop the news?
No, I think we'll listen to news later on today.
Okay, we know what happened, don't we?
Yeah. That's the single.
Yeah, and it's wild and rough. I call it Crippled Inside. You know, it's like releasing Crippled Inside from the Imagine album instead of Imagine. But I took a consensus of opinion. Because after I'd done it, I just couldn't make a head and a tail of which one could be commercial, you know. So they told me that one, so here we go, and it seems to be doing all right.
Was that done? Was the whole album done in New York?
Yeah, record plant. In fact, I've recorded everything since I left England in record plant. Anybody listening to record plant? Good, they're a good gang there. And Al, what is it? Carmine. I keep calling him Al Carmine. Sorry, is just mixing it down to quad because I couldn't face it again. I just arrived in LA and I got a note saying, "We want a quad." I said, "Are you kidding? I've just mixed the whole thing." He should have told me that first. But he's doing a good job for the 20 people who buy quad.
Well, you never... The cover is, for those of you who haven't had a chance to see it yet in your favorite record store...
Because it ain't out yet. It's this week.
It's not in the stores?
I don't know if it's in the... Well, Richard, a friend of mine here, that went down to get it the other day and they hadn't got it yet. I guess it'll be early next week. It'll be in the shops.
All right. Now, there's a drawing on the front.
You could call it that, yeah. Well, it's hard to explain, isn't it? Because it's all flapped over. A guy at Capitol designed it. It's a nice design.
The album comes in 2 parts.
Yeah.
Is this it says John Lennon, June 52, age 11.
Yeah, that's true. There's an exam they have in England that they hang over your head. You know, there's a couple of them, but one of them is called 11 plus. And they hang it over you from age 5. You know, if you don't pass the 11 plus, which you take at 11, obviously, then you're finished in life. So that was the only exam that I ever passed because I was terrified. And after that exam's over, the teacher says you can do whatever you want. So I just painted. And these are of all the childhood sort of drawings and paintings I did. This was the only ones that ever got saved. And I was originally going to use them for the Oldies but Goldies album with Spectre, but that sort of fell apart in the middle because of his accident and that. And the guy had already started the design, so I said, "Oh, it'll fit the new album anyway, so use them." And there's 3 or 4 pictures that I did at that age.
And Walls and Bridges, what is that? Is there a prophetic title, or?
I don't really know, you know. I mean, I get these things that sound nice, you know. I had the song Number 9 Dream was called Walls and Bridges, and, you know, I just had the title Walls and Bridges, and I tried to fit it in anywhere like a jigsaw. So it didn't seem to fit any of the songs, and I hadn't written anything, so I just shoved it on as the album title. It seemed to be sort of wide enough to cover everything. It's like communication, you know, walls, just 4 walls, bridges you go over. I think I heard it on a public service announcement on TV, you know, one of those late night things where they make you feel awful in between the movies, you know.
Number 9 Dream was Walls and Bridges?
Was called Walls and Bridges. I mean, some of them have had 20 titles, you know. I change them all the time up to the last minute.
All right. Well, let's take a listen.
Okay.
Number 9 has no reference back to the old Number 9?
Well, yeah, look, if you look at the cover, and those of you who don't have it, you'll get it. In June 1952, I've drawn 4 guys playing football, and number 9 is the number on the guy's back, and that was pure coincidence. And I was born on the 9th of October, and that number 9 Beatle thing was an engineer's voice, you know, and it just sort of seems to be my number, so I stick with it.
All right, it's just about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so I need an official station break.
Okay, this is John Lennon with Dennis on WNEW-FM, And we're mucking about on a Saturday rainy afternoon because we've got you all trapped in your rooms, you see, because it's too wet to go anywhere.
We even have the 4 o'clock temperature readings.
We do? Oh, let's see how hot it is. Temperature is 68. No wonder I'm sweating. Humidity 93. PCT, whatever that is.
Percent.
Oh, why don't they do those little round things? Barometer 30.03 and falling. Oh, disgusting. Wind southeast 8 miles an hour. Cloudy. And somebody said it was the air was unacceptable today, but I accept it. Sounded all right to me.
That's the official forecast.
Here's the official WNEW weather forecast. Mostly cloudy with periods of rain this afternoon, tonight, and tomorrow. High times. Oh, no. Wish it was. High this afternoon and tomorrow in the 70s. Low tonight in the mid-60s. Watch out for it. That's about my period. Monday's outlook, fair and cool, man.
Okay. Metro Media Stereo at WNEW-FM in New York, John Lennon.
So there we are. That was some Gaelic words. Flower cower poussé.
I'm trying to follow the lyrics in here. There's a lyric sheet, thank goodness, for the album.
Well, I print them even if I'm not pleased with them, you know, because I always tend to, on a few tracks, bury the voice.
There are drawings within the lyric book, too. Are those also from...
Yeah, same period. There's about one that isn't. There's a picture of a horse, I think I did about a year or something later, which is at the end.
Mm-hmm.
What they did was sort of jumble them up on the cover and then repeat some of them back inside.
It's not... I mean, the package is really nice.
Well, it's the first time since I was a Beatle, as it were, that I let the package out of my hands. I used to even make the cover, like on Mind Games. I hand-made it, you know, and cut out little pictures. I enjoyed it. But I didn't really have time, you know.
Yeah,
and I'm glad, because I let it go, and the guy came up with something creative, and it's a surprise for me now. I can look at it and enjoy it without sort of thinking, oh, I should have done this, should have done that.
You've got all kinds of friends, Jim Keltner, Jesse Davis.
Yeah, Klaus Foreman, bass, Nicky Hopkins, piano, Ken Asher, keyboards, Arthur Jenkins, percussion, Bobby Keys, Howard Johnson, Eddie Motto on rhythm guitar, Bobby Keys, Howard Johnson, horns, Steve Madeo, and somebody called Frank, and somebody else, Ron. I had a 5-piece horn section, which was weird. It was just the amount of people that turned up, you know.
All right, well, we'll be spending the rest of the afternoon with John Lennon in Metro Media Stereo, some commercials, and then more talk and music. Dennis Elsas here at WNEW-FM.
Produced by George Martin. New music from the Mahavishnu Orchestra. Apocalypse on Columbia Records.
Don't miss the Mahavishnu Orchestra at Avery Fisher Hall, Wednesday, October the 2nd. The newest album is available at all Alexander record departments at $4.19. Not a bad price at all.
Did you
It's nice to hear George Martin's cooking, right?
When was the last time you did work with him?
Abbey Road.
Have you seen him, do you?
I saw him in California, in the Beverly Hills Hotel in a bar. I went to see him, you know, and we got a little tiddly and had a little, you know, old-time discussion.
With the America album, the new one?
He's working on that too. I don't know what he's working. The last thing he was doing was, he was talking of selling or had sold Air London, which is his recording set up in England, and buying a boat and putting it all on it, having a yacht. Yeah, I said, can't wait, you know. Call me when you've got it, you know. If they can balance the tapes and not make it all fall in the water, it'd be great.
John has brought along a couple of records that he thought that all of us might be interested to hear. You know, more often than not, we do things on the air where we show you that one riff may have been borrowed from another record, an older record. Maybe you could explain this one a bit.
Well, yeah, I brought 4 singles. This is one of them, oldies but goldies, as it were. This is a early 60s record by Bobby Parker called Watch Your Step, which I call Son of What Did I Say? I mean, there was the great record What Did I Say by Ray Charles, which is the first electric piano I ever heard on tape, because nobody could work out what it was on record. And then shortly after, maybe it could have been a year because it all blends in, but this was the next move after What Did I Say, which is Watch Your Step. The lick you recognize, because I've used it, or the Beatles have used it, sort of in various forms. Recently I heard, in this last year, the Allman Brothers used the lick straight as it was for some song, which is cool, you know. And here it is. It's one of my favorite records.
gonna say go somewhere high. Hey, hey, you better watch out, baby, everything. I'm gonna keep my eyes focused right on you. You gonna look
We're on, are we?
Yeah. You know, I was mentioning to you off the air that the Yesterday and Today album, I always take the cover and I try and peel back.
To look for the dead babies bit, yeah.
How did that happen, that album cover that never saw the light of day, or if it did, got pulled off very quickly?
It went out, we took the pictures in London at one of those photo sessions. By then we were really sort of, beginning to hate it. A photo session was a big ordeal, and, you had to try and look normal, and you didn't feel it. And the photographer was a bit of a surrealist, and he brought along all these babies and pieces of meat and doctor's coats, so we really got into it, and that's how we felt, yeah. So we sort of, I especially, pushed for it to be an album cover, just to break the image,
Mm-hmm.
And it got out in America, and they printed, it's about 60,000 got out, and then there was some kind of fuss, as usual. And they were all sent back in or withdrawn, and they stuck that awful-looking picture which you have in front of you of us sitting, looking just as deadbeat, but supposed to be happy-go-lucky foursome.
You look very unhappy.
Yeah, right. So we tried to, do something different.
Album covers were much simpler then, right? Just a cover.
You just walk in, take your photo, and walk out. Especially in America, because we made only, say, 10 albums, actually. In America, there seemed to be 30 of them. And so we would design a cover or have control a bit more of our own covers in England. But America always had more albums, so they always needed another picture, another cover.
We used to be very upset because England would have 14 tracks per album, and then we'd only get 12.
Well, we used to say, why can't we put 14 out in America, and stop them? Because we would sequence the albums, how we thought they should sound, and we'd put a lot of work into the sequencing too. And we almost got to not care what happened in America because it was always different. They wouldn't let us put 14 out. They said there was some rule or something that we... And
Greed, I think.
Well, whatever it was, They just... And so we almost didn't care what happened to the albums in America until we started coming over more and noticing, like on the 8 tracks, they'd have outtakes and mumbling on the beginning, which is interesting now, but it used to drive us crackers because we'd make an album and then they'd keep 2 from every album.
There was also... There was an album out on the VeeJay label, whoever was dealing the contracts at that time. Before Capitol had Meet the Beatles, and then at the same time, Introducing the Beatles came out in America on something that's called the VeeJay label, which doesn't exist anymore, though the album is still...
They had Love Me Do. I don't remember what else they had.
It was re-released later. Capitol got the rights and then called it the early Beatles.
I only remember Love Me Do. I think that was a VeeJay record.
We have also in front of us here the Beatles' second album.
That's what it's called here. I don't know what it is.
Electrifying Big Beat Performances by England's Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, featuring She Loves You and Roll Over Beethoven. Many of these things have been remixed, the stereo.
Oh, it was awful.
I think the original monaural recordings are...
I didn't realize it happened when they put out that package last year.
The blue and red...
The 2 albums, and I just thought, presumed that they would just copy them from the masters and put them out. And I didn't even listen to it until after it was out, and I took it back and I played it. It was embarrassing, some of the tracks survived, but it was really embarrassing. Some fool had tried to make it stereo and it didn't work.
Yeah. People should stay with the mono and not be so
because,
concerned.
there's a difference between stereo and mono, obviously, and if you mix something in mono and then try and fake it, it just you lose the guts of it. And a lot of them lost the fast version of Revolution was destroyed. It was a heavy record, and then they made it into a piece of ice cream. But never mind, it's all the past, isn't it?
Well chosen words. We're at WNEW-FM. Dennis Elsas with John Lennon, our guest this afternoon.